What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, brought to you again today on the Russell Street Report. We're continuing our watch of every single new Baltimore Raven, going through each draft pick, brought to you by DNL Tinting. Go check out dltinting.com for all your custom window tinting, headlight restoration, car detailing needs. dltinting.com. Really looking forward to getting into Devontez Walker, the pick that the Ravens got for trading Morgan Moses to the Jets in the pick swap. They get the 13th pick in the 4th round, 113 overall, I think that's right. Devontez Walker, wide receiver out of North Carolina, a true speed threat. Really looking forward to going through the tape with you guys. But when we take a look at the pick on the surface, really addresses the need of adding some speed to this wide receiver room, especially a guy that can play the outside wide receiver position and really give that flexibility to move Zay Flowers around. We saw last year all the deep shots that Lamar Jackson took to Rashad Bateman to use someone to push the ball downfield. The chemistry just wasn't there, so they go out and get one of the best deep ball guys in the NCAA last year. I mean, if you look at the numbers, if you look about midway down your screen, 10 catches for 375 yards on 20 plus yard throws. That's good for 30th and 28th in the NCAA last year. And we'll talk about the drops a little bit at the end of the video. Little discrepancy in the numbers. PFF charted 3. Dane Brugler in the Athletic has a different source of his statistics. There was 5. So I think, as we go through, we're going to talk a little bit about the hands, the deep ball tracking, all that kind of stuff. But I think there's some folks with some drops concerns. There's definitely some drops. I pulled about 3 for this video, but not as big of a concern as some other things we'll talk through. One thing to note, not a yak guy. He only had 2.8 yards after the catch per catch. That's just not his game. He's not going to make guys miss. He's very much in the mold of a deep threat right now. I think he's got the speed and agility to potentially add that to his game, but it's really not who he is as a player. You kind of see it there. They didn't really throw him screens. It wasn't really what they wanted to do. But he did bring in 10 contested catches last year. We'll talk a little bit about what they looked like. But he's very much in the mold of that outside wide receiver that's going to stretch the field. I saw some comparisons, like a guy like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think that's because there was that narrative around the drops. But in terms of the skill set, stretching the field, that sort of thing, with a bigger body, I think that does make sense. And you can kind of see that pop out in his statistics. On the go routes, 5 catches on 13 targets, which is pretty good for a go route being a little bit on the low percentage side. And he scored one of his touchdowns there. I also should have seams in here. But other than that, mostly running hitches, ins and outs, your basic stuff. But then does some really good stuff on posts as well, especially when they're bent out. So we're going to take a look at that as well as we go through. And if you look at the productivity relative to the rest of the class and classes before it, this goes back to the 2019 draft. Obviously, in the top right is your more efficient college wide receivers. You got your Jamar Chases, Lamb, Marvin Harrison Jr., Waddle, all the big names. And then you got Devontez Walker down here. And he's down in the lower part. I mean, and just for context, there's Zay Flowers. So this isn't just, the be-all, end-all. But it's definitely something that we need to take a look at, especially on the EPA per snap. A lot of guys in this class were on the lower end. You see Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Leggett, Keon Coleman, and as they kind of, follow this line, as EPA per snap goes up, so does yards per route run. You get guys that were doing a lot of cardio out there. That's basically what that means. So EPA per snap, that's not a snap that they were involved. Could speak to the offenses they were in. So just something to note there. But I do think it's telling that Walker kind of comes off this line, right? And that's because his yards per route run goes way up when you're a deep threat the way he is. So what this kind of tells me is, even though the efficiency was down, he still added so much value in terms of adding yards to the offense because of what he can do downfield. So I just thought that was interesting to kind of show itself in that area. And then when we look at specific contested catch opportunities, he's right dead set in the middle. See right there. He's not on the higher contested targets with, there's a lot of guys here that weren't known for separation. You got Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, George Pickens a couple years ago. You got Quentin Johnson. Guys that were not known for getting separation. You do have Marvin Harrison Jr. here, right here, but I think a lot of that is him drawing double teams. So it's nice to see that he's not facing contested catch opportunities as often because there is separation, but it is good to see that when he does, he's still catching them at a decent rate. Obviously, some names ahead of him, some names below him. Just for a comparable, because he was the big draft discussion, Troy Franklin's right here. A lot of people wanted to see us trade up and go after him or use pick 94 on him, and that's where he is relative to Walker. I think those two will kind of track together. Is Javon Baker? Yeah, Javon Baker's up here in the top right where, a lot of people were interested in him. So again, another guy that's going to be just interesting to kind of follow him throughout the process. And then when you look at the Raz, obviously a decent size. He is a bit on the slender side, only weighing in at 193. He has lots of opportunities to add some mass to that frame, but the long speed's there, 4.36 40, specifically a even better, 10 and 20 yard split, and then just very explosive, and that pops out in his vertical and his broad. So nothing really surprising here. You're basically getting a very, very high level athlete. And we're going to start right there. When we get into the film here, we're going to take a look at the deep speed. So you're going to see him bottom of your screen, and his ability to just run by guys is here. So ball ends up floating outside of, I didn't grab the other angle, but the ball was thrown out of bounds, but you can just see him eat up the cushion. And as he forces, you can kind of see that corner. Once he flips his hips, he goes right here into recovery mode and starts, in an all-out sprint, and Walker's still able to run by him, and then he backtracks to the ball. So, the speed is just absolutely insane. Watch him eat the cushion and then just take off. Now, this should have been a target, but watch the offensive line down here. You're going to get, is that a tight end, actually? Yeah, so the tight end is on the edge player here. Edge player is going to beat the tight end, and then the running back's going to come in, and May can't throw it. You see him right here. Edge comes in. He's about to throw that ball before he has to step out. You can kind of see right here, that's where his read is. He started reading left, and you can see him setting up his feet, all of that pointing in this direction, but he has to, bail out. So that would have been a nice target there because Walker just eats that cushion up. So, and then this is just an opportunity where he's got a guy a little bit closer. And again, he just runs by DBs, but really smooth release too. I think that's something that didn't get enough attention, especially through some of the scouting reports I looked at. So this is just going to be a standard speed release, but this is where you see the explosiveness. Just fluidity running through, the corner's hips, and then tracking that deep ball and bringing it in. So, I mean, the deep speed is stifling. I mean, there's no surprise that he was the best deep ball, or one of the best deep ball catchers in the league last year. Here you're going to get a very fun route because he's going against first-round pick Nate Wiggins. I showed it in the Nate Wiggins breakdown. And he's just going to beat him with his deep speed. And right here, this is how he wins this route. I looked at it a little bit. You're going to get that inside arm extension into Wiggins to create a little bit of extra separation and get himself that ball. Some people might call it a push-off, but I didn't see a flag go up. I like physical football, so I'm going to let that go. But, when we talk about outside receiver, deep threat, all that stuff, if you guys go back to the Ravens offense and you look at some of those missed shots to Rashad Bateman, they look a lot in the mold of what we just looked at, folks. So that's what's so exciting about this pick. I think they brought in a skill set to fill an element in the offense that they really thought they were missing last year, and they brought in a player that excels at it, and that's really where team building gets so exciting. Now you're going to see him in the seam. Again, just using that deep speed. Nice contested catch in the seam. I'll show you guys the other angle. Little skip here, and then you're just going to see him just kind of pull it in right at the end. So just, working the seam there. Again, just a true field stretcher where he can do it from various positions. We don't get a target here, but I did like this release just because, and this is against Wiggins again, you don't want to get caught kind of doing the same thing and just running outside, because then you're going to end up with corners that are just going to turn and run with you. So what he does is he's going to press the outside hip. He's going to try and get Wiggins to open with outside leverage, drop this this outside foot back, which he does right there. And as he does that, cuts back inside and runs right past him. So you got the safety tracking here, which could interrupt the read. But, you know, that's the ability to just get some separation. You can see he's getting a step on one of the best cover corners in the NCAA and Nate Wiggins. So that's the type of stuff. A little bit of nuance in his release. I think one of the more underrated parts of his game. And then you're seeing it again right there. And now this is what looks like a missed contested catch opportunity. But watch Drake May before he throws this ball right here. He's going to get hit as he's throwing, and you're going to see right here, it's kind of off your screen because he's so far downfield, but he's actually going to have to work back to the ball. I'll see if we can see it in the other angle because it's... did I grab the other angle? Yes, I did. Okay, so as he pushes that ball down, getting hit while throwing, you're seeing right here, you can see him kind of pulling up, right? And then he's going to go up and high point the ball. Now, we'll talk about contested catches a little bit later, but that's definitely something that I thought wasn't a strength of his game as a contested catch receiver. He's kind of a scoop catcher downfield where he's, you know, catching up scoops with his hands rather than getting up and high pointing the ball. Now, if you guys want to see what the difference is, if you look at a guy like Xavier Leggett, he would work downfield but then high point the ball up top, catch with his hands. That's something that I think he can develop, but it's not really his game as a contested catch receiver right now. It's something that I would really like to see as next steps in his development. But, you know, that's two opportunities we've seen where Walker had a ton more potential with how he was getting downfield, and, you know, the O-line play is coming in and playing a factor as Drake May is either getting hit or, you know, having to move around due to pressure. So, just, you know, it gives you an idea of, you know, sometimes the statistics don't match what the film looks like. That's a good example because those are big gains, adding big yards to his stat totals. And I just wanted to show this one because, you know, just that ability to, you know, eat up a cushion and just be able to run a slant is just such an easy opportunity for these receivers, you know, when they're a deep ball guy. So just to kind of show that in his game, we'll look at a couple of releases here. And so this is just a straight up speed release. And there he is just running past the corner. And, you know, this is what I mean by, you know, more of a scooper. So he's going to get downfield, and rather than, you know, turn his body and high point the ball where he's more square to the ball, he's, you know, doing it kind of more over his shoulder. Again, just the type of player he is. And, you know, it's really about whoever helps you make the play. So get a better look at it here. You don't get a great look at the sideline, if I remember correctly. Put the ball up. Okay, so as he's going to bring the ball in. See, so he's just going to, you know, he's just going to scoop it. Right there. Get both feet in. Only need one in college, but he is able to get both there. And then again, speed, pushing. You see May just looking for him. And he's going to get back up and scoop it again. I got the other angle here. So again, he's not getting up and high pointing, right? So sometimes you see from receivers, they'll turn square to the ball and have their hands up in the air. He's going to scoop it. So that's just something to, you know, note, but, you know, the concentration, he actually does. I paid really close attention. So the ball is caught here. His left foot moves slow enough. And I think he gets his right foot in. Yeah, he does. So he actually gets both feet in there, even though you only need one in college. But I was like, I'd like to see both feet, and he did it. So then we get another release here. And again, just the way he's going to eat up the corner's cushion, stretch the ball downfield. We get an incomplete, but you can see what I mean there. So you'd like to see that ball come out a little early because I find on a lot of these deep shots from Drake May, he's slowing up at the end as he has to work back to the ball, whether it's due to pressure, whether it's due to, you know, just not enough under. So, you know, throwing that deep ball with a little bit better anticipation would be good. I think we'll kind of see it here. So, again, scooping it, right? Not turning, trying to high point it. He's trying to scoop that. So on throws like this where it's a little underthrown, that's where he's going to leave a little bit on the field because he's only going to catch that way if it's thrown in front of him or really close to his side. If he's able to turn, get back to the ball, obviously very hard to do with how fast he's running. But that's just, again, something I saw from Xavier Leggett that felt like a comparable just to show a different play style. And then you see the deep ball tracking here. He's going to miss this one. Did I grab the other angle? I didn't. So this is in that Clemson game again. So he's just going to have to bend outside and, again, trying to scoop it, but isn't able to track it down. So, I felt overall his deep ball tracking was quite good. So that's not a criticism, but just to kind of show they aren't all hits. Now we'll take a look at a little bit of his route running, his ability to create separation, which was up and down for me. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. But what was interesting is the type of route running he does. If it is a bending route where he's, say running an in route and he's just going to bend it rather than break down and cut. And Steve Smith Sr. did a whole piece on this with film. So I'd encourage you guys to go check that out. He knows a little bit more than me, just a little bit. But he talked about a lot about false steps, lazy steps, that sort of thing. And I think you can kind of see it. So as he sets up here, he's going to, do a nice break there. And I find this is the difference, and this is what he really needs to focus on. When he works into the corner and then plants and cuts, his explosiveness, because that's where it comes out in the stance. It's when, there's separation and he gets pumping his feet going into a break. I just find he telegraphs what he's doing too much and the corner reacts. But as he works into the corner here and is able to snap this off, he's just able to create a little bit more separation. And I find he's not making as many false steps. And so here's kind of what I mean, just to kind of show that. This is actually against Wiggins. So he's going to go up and he's going to just telegraph a little bit. And Wiggins is able to react. He's not close enough to him. There's too much of a cushion. And then there's Wiggins just going to pick up and run with him. Now, not every corner is going to be able to run with Devontez Walker like Wiggins is. But when you get to the NFL, all corners are fast. So it will you'll see that, margin for error lower a little bit. So, this is just where I think with his footwork, I just think he needs to be a little bit, less choppy, more explosive, a little bit more subtle in what he wants to do as a route runner. He's on the bottom of your screen now. And see what I mean? Just those kind of choppy steps. Chop, chop, chop. It's just easy to read. It's easy to, break on. And that's where Steve Smith Sr. is talking about all these wasted steps. So now, like what he does here. He's not able to bring the ball in. The ball wasn't really on target. But just working into the blind spot. But you're going to see he's a little bending the route a little bit more. He's not breaking as much off his footwork. And you're going to see the same thing right here. Again, more of a bend in. Works into the ball, catches it. Really nice stuff. I find when they're bent, right there, he's going to bend out, be able to make the catch. You can see the fluidity right there, bending in. Again, nice catch, nice little run after. So it really shows the difference in the fluidity he has. And that's a deep ball. I must have... I just completely misplaced this clip. Nice deep ball catch from him. We'll take that, folks. Put it in the wrong area. Or is this the drop? I think I completely misplaced this. Yeah, no, this is the ugly drop. So maybe I just accidentally put the drops in earlier. All right, we'll take a look at the drops here, apparently. So you're going to see him bend out, track the ball really well, adjust to it, and then have that drop on the scoop technique that we've been talking about. So we're going to see it from the other angle so we can see it a little cleaner. Get that ball snapped, play action, step up, throw it. So, again, tracking's really good. But as he scoops that, you're just going to see the ball bounce out. And this is every Ravens fan's nightmare. This is the Brashad Perriman, Jordan Lasley's, Tommy Streeter's, the speed threats that couldn't catch. Now, I think he got a little bit of that narrative to him. And there's clips of this happening. There's definitely clips of him dropping balls. But I don't think it was as bad as people made it sound. But this is what it looks like. And a lot of that, I think, is coming from the scoop technique. Someone that's more versed in, coaching receivers, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below. But, that's just what I'm seeing. I think we're going to get another one here. I don't know what I was trying to show there. That's a sack. I think I just misplaced clips. Keep chugging along. I think we get another one there. So as he works back to the ball, a little bit of a drop there. So Again, this is a little bit different because this is just a straight up hands catch, but just another drop that I caught on his tape. So the drops are definitely there. It's going to be the area of his game. This one I'm less worried about because you don't see a lot of this, and he's kind of being tackled as the ball is coming in, so a little bit different, but just something on the drops area that I think is going to be a big discussion. So overall, I mean, the beauty here is I do think the Baltimore Ravens brought in a skill set that really fit a need and a want that they had, and it just makes a ton of sense. And what he does well is what the Ravens want, and I just love that matchup. I think he's going to be able to get involved early. I think he's going to be able to play early because he's going to be able to play that role. So, things like drops, things like some of his route running, I don't think it's ever going to completely disappear as a concern in his game. It's definitely what's going to limit him for becoming, a number one, number two type option, but it doesn't mean he can't be a very, very productive, wide receiver 3 into the wide receiver 2 area. And that's really what I see in his game. I think he can be that type of productive guy. I think he's going to have to work on, like I said, in those sharp, harsh breaking routes. He's going to have to really clean up his footwork. He's going to have to really work on, using his hands downfield, not being as much of a scooper, and, being able to use those skills with his speed. So very excited to bring him in. I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch in preseason. We're going to be taking a look when the preseason film starts coming out, so I'm looking forward to that. That's all I have for you guys. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about Devontez Walker. And as always, be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.